I'm RJ Hoggard with the Hoggard Group, powered by KW Legacy. And January 2026 just wrapped up. And wow, our market is like a reality show this year. Some drama, some plot twists, and a couple of surprise stars you would not have guessed. And whether you're buying your first home, or maybe you're moving up to your second or third home, or downsizing, or building new, or selling, or just stalking your home value like it's your ex on social media, this video is for you. Now, stick around because around the 8-minute mark or so, I'm going to reveal which city saw the most dramatic price jump and which one is giving buyers the most negotiating power. Right now, we're going to dive into some real data so that you can make the best decision possible. So let's first of all take a look at Wake County. Now, this includes 16 different towns or cities. And in January 2026, we had 823 closed sales. Now, compared to January 2025, that's down 14.4%. Pretty significant drop. But compared to December, we're down 45.5%, which sounds scary until you remember that January is always the market's holiday hangover. People are recovering from Christmas and kids are getting back to school and fewer deals are closing. So quick reminder on this too. The deals closing in December were mostly signed in November, and the deals closing in January went under contract in December. So you're really seeing what buyers were doing over the holidays. Let's take a look at the median sales price, though, for Wake County. It came in at $450,000. That's down 1.6% from last month. Tiny dip. Sales volume dropped way more than prices, which tells me that while fewer homes are selling, prices are holding relatively steady month over month. Now, if you compare January 2026 to January 2025, we're down 4.3%. That's not a crash, it's just a slight correction. A little air coming out of the balloon there. Price per square foot, $218. That's actually 0.9%, up 0.9% from December, and flat compared to January 2025. So even though overall prices dipped slightly, the cost per square foot is holding steady. That's a healthy sign. Now, let's look at days on market. We're up at 46 days, which is up 17.9% from last year when homes were moving in around 39 days. Homes are sitting a bit longer, which means if you're a buyer, you've got more time to make decisions and more negotiating leverage. Now, if you're thinking about buying and you want to know how to use all of this leverage to your advantage, or you want a free buyer's cheat sheet, drop a comment below or shoot me a message. We can talk strategy in this market and what we're seeing, even more of a deep dive for what you need and what your goals are. Now, let's take a look at active inventory. It sits at 3,409 homes. That's up 16.6% from last year, but down 2.9%. Some sellers may be waiting to put their houses on the market, but you still have more inventory, which means more choices for buyers. But it also means sellers, you have to be strategic with pricing and presentation. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. We've got 4.1 months of supply, which is up 37% from last year and a whopping 78.3% from December. So a balanced market is typically 5 to 6 months. So we're getting closer to that equilibrium in Wake County, but still slightly seller-friendly zone. List to sales price is 98%, basically unchanged from last month. Sellers are still getting close to their asking price, but buyers are negotiating a little more than before. So that's what we're looking at in Wake County and the big picture. Let's zoom in on some individual towns and cities, starting with the heavyweight Raleigh. Raleigh is the biggest city in Wake County, so it sets the tone for a lot of what happens in the Triangle. In January, Raleigh had 310 closed sales. That's down 47.9% from last month and down 16.7% from last year. The median sales price was $402,500. Now, this is where it gets interesting. That's down 10.6% from last month. Price per square foot came in at $220, down 3.3% from last month. So not only are prices lower, but the cost per square footage is softening too. In days on market, 39 days. That's up 1.3%. So even with the lower prices, homes are still moving at about the same pace, but not much change. Active inventory is 1,433 homes, which is down 2% from last month, but up 12.3% from last year. And list price received 97.7%, right in line with the county average. Months of supply sits at 4.6 months. That's up 34.8% from last year and creeping toward a balanced market range. Now, if you're looking in Raleigh and wondering, is now the time to buy? The data is screaming, yes, it is. Prices are down, inventory is reasonable, and you've got negotiating power. And if you want to see what's available in your price range, check the link in our website in the description below. Now, next up is Apex. Apex is consistently one of the Triangle's hottest, most talked about markets, but we're seeing some changes in the Peak City. January saw 78 closed sales, down 47.7%. The median sales price in Apex is $520,000. And here's the kicker. That's down 12.3% from last month and is back to where it was this time last year. Apex ran hot for years, but now we're seeing some correction. Price per square foot is $232, down 3.1% from December, and days on market way up, 54 days. That's 132% higher than last year when homes were moving in about 23 days. That's a huge shift. Apex homes are sitting longer, which means buyers have more time to shop and negotiate. Now, active inventory is 265 homes. That's up 1.1% from last month, but 66% from last year. Apex went from can't find anything to, okay, we actually have choices now. List price received is 98.1%, still very strong. And sellers are getting close to asking when they price correctly. Now, months of supply is 3.4 months, up 80.5% from last year and 93.2% from December. Still a seller's market, but clearly marching toward a balanced market. So here's my take on it. Apex is normalizing after years of explosive growth. And if you've been priced out of Apex in the past, this might finally be your window. Now, let's talk about Cary. Cary, one of Triangle's premium, always in demand markets. There were 88 closed sales in January. That's down 41.3% from December. Not a shock because most of those December closings went under contract in November. Remember that. And December itself is usually sleepy thanks to the holidays. The median sales price in Cary is sitting at $577,900. And check this out, that's up 3.2% from December. Now, while some cities are seeing price drops, the town of Cary is actually appreciating month over month. Cary continues to behave like a blue chip stock, steady and strong. Price per square foot is $251, down 4.4% from last month. So even though the overall median price is up recently, the cost per square foot dipped just slightly. And days on market are 37 days, up 37% from last month. But still, the fastest moving market we've covered so far. Active inventory is 272 homes, down 10.8% from last month, but up 46.2% from last year. So buyers have more choices than they did a year ago, just slightly fewer than they had in December. And if we look at list price received, that's 97.9%, right in line with what we're seeing across the county. So months of supply, 3.1 months. That's up 51.2% from last year and up 52% from last month. Still in seller territory, but clearly drifting toward a balanced market. Now, if you're looking at Cary and thinking, is it worth the price tag? The data says Cary is holding value better than almost anywhere else. If you see, or if you want to see what's available in Cary or talk through this market and why it's so resilient, reach out to me. My info's there in the description. All right, now let's talk about one of the fastest growing communities in our lineup, Holly Springs. January saw 41 closed sales. It's down 30.5% from last month, but up 20.6% from last year. Holly Springs is one of the few cities that we're covering that actually saw growth in closed sales year over year. So the median sales price in the town of Holly Springs, $655,000, up 0.8%. Holly Springs sits near the top of the price range among these towns, and it's holding strong. Price per square foot, $231, down 3.8% from last month. And days on market are 37 days. That's up 37% from last month, and tied for Cary, though, for one of the fastest moving markets. Active inventory at 89 homes, even though it was down 2.2% from last month. It's up 20.3% from last year. More inventory means more choices for buyers, and more choices mean a bit more negotiating power, which is exactly why we see the list price received sitting at 97.8%. Buyers are negotiating, but sellers are still in a solid position. Months of supply is 2.2 months. That's up 40.7% from last month, but still the tightest market that we covered. This is absolutely still a strong seller's market, just with a little more breathing room for buyers. So keep that in mind. Now, remember when I said I'd reveal which city saw the biggest price increase? Hold that thought. We've got one more town to cover before I spill the beans, and it's going to blow your mind, actually. So let's look at Morrisville. Tech heavy, right beside RTP, one of the most diverse communities in North Carolina. And we've got 11 sales in January, down 21.4% from last month, but flat compared to this time last year. And with such a small number of sales, the stats can swing hard, so keep that in mind. The median sales price is $575,000, and here's where the bombshell is. That's up 42.2% from last month. But before you panic or celebrate too hard, depending on which side you're on there, remember, Morrisville is a smaller town with a smaller sample size, so a few higher price sales can move that median dramatically. Price per square foot, $237 per square foot, up 0.9% from last year, one of the highest in our group. Days on market are 48 days, which is actually down 35.1% from last month. Morrisville is the only town we've covered where days on market decreased. Active inventory is sitting at 26 homes. That's up 18.2% from last month, but still extremely limited. 26 listings is not a lot. So buyers, you don't have many options. List price received 97.4%, still strong, and about the same as last month and last year, just a hair lower than some of the neighboring towns. Months of supply sits at 2.4 months, making it one of the tightest markets in the Triangle. And here's my take on it. Morrisville is absolutely on fire. The combo of RTP, proximity, excellent schools, diversity, and limited inventory, that's key, has created a perfect storm for price appreciation if you're eyeing Morrisville. Know that competition will be fierce, and prices can climb quickly. All right, so which city saw the most dramatic change? Drum roll, please. It's Morrisville, with that 42.2% jump in median price from last month. Now, even though it has a smaller subset, that's still a pretty significant jump there. Okay, last but definitely not least, let's take a look at Fuquay-Varina. There were 69 closed sales. That's down 24.2% from last month, but up 7.8% from this time last year. The median sales price is $445,990. That's up 3.8% from last month, but down 18.6% from last year. So short term, we're bouncing up. Long term, we're still below last year's peak. Price per square foot, $207, up 6.7% from last month and up 0.7% from last year. So while the overall median is down year over year, cost per square foot seems to be quietly drifting higher. Days on market are 53 days, so up 20.5% from last month and up 103.8% from last year. So sellers are definitely feeling that increase. Homes simply aren't flying off the market like they were. Now, new listings came in at 106 homes, up 24.7% from last month, but down 10.9% from last year. Builders may be reducing the number of pre-builds, and that may be having an impact there. Active inventory is 203 homes, which is what we had in December, but down 13.2% from last year. List price received, 98.5%. That's the highest of any town we've discussed. Fuquay sellers are getting more of their asking price than anywhere else in this roundup. And the reduction of inventory from last year probably is having an impact. So let's take a look at months of supply. Months of supply is at 2.9 months, which still puts Fuquay solidly in seller's market territory. So Fuquay-Varina, fascinating. Prices are rising month over month. Cost per square foot is climbing. Sales volume is down. It's a market in transition, and that always creates opportunity for buyers who are prepared and sellers who are strategic. All right, let's bring this all together. Here's what January 2026 is telling us. For buyers, you have more inventory to choose from in almost every town except Morrisville. Good luck there. If you want to move to Morrisville, you're buying in Morrisville, you have to be prepared, strategic, and move fast. Days on market are up in most areas, which means less competition and more time to make decisions. You don't have to throw an offer at the first thing you see. You can pause, you can analyze, and you can be strategic. Also, you've got negotiating power, especially in Raleigh and Apex, where prices have pulled back the most. So just keep that in mind as you are thinking about where you would like to move. Raleigh offers the best value right now at $402,500 for the median sales price. And if you want premium and you want stability, Cary and Holly Springs, well, they're holding strong right now. The numbers show that. Morrisville is the wild card. If you can get in, you might be looking at some serious appreciation potential. So that's on the buy side. Now let's take a look at the sell side. So if you're a seller, you're still getting close to asking price, 97 to 98% across the board. But sellers, please listen. You have to price strategically because inventory is up. And frankly, buyers have options. Except for you folks in Morrisville. There aren't many options for buyers there. Now, your home has to be market ready. Paint, carpet, countertops, whatever it takes. Buyers, they just don't have the extra cash for updates, and they need that money for a down payment. And many buyers have a hard time seeing the potential of a house that needs a lot of updating, and so they pass on it. And if they do see the potential, a buyer will want a serious discount. Holly Springs, Cary, and Morrisville are your best bets if you want strong prices and relatively quick sales. Homes are sitting longer in most markets, so professional photos and videos, staging, and smart pricing are more important than ever right now. So the big picture, we're seeing a tale of two markets. Premium established areas like Morrisville, Holly Springs, and Cary, where they are seeing appreciation or holding firm, while markets like Raleigh and Apex are cooling slightly and creating opportunity. The bidding war frenzy, well, it's mostly behind us, except in super tight spots like Morrisville or homes that are absolutely dialed in and in prime locations. We just witnessed this with a house that we put on the market in Apex right before Christmas. And the first open house had 13 different groups that came through. Second open house on Sunday had 9 different groups. And we had multiple offers and it went under contract over asking. The house was prepared, it was priced right, and the market responded. But overall, the numbers are telling us that we're shifting towards a balanced market. And that, frankly, is a very healthy place to be. If you found this information helpful, do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss next month's update. We do it every single month, and we drop this information so that you can make the wisest decisions possible. Do me a favor also, comment, let me know, are you buying, are you selling, are you building, or are you just watching from the sidelines? And which city surprised you the most? If you're serious about making a move in 2026, as I mentioned, whether you're buying, selling, or building, let's talk. My contact information is in the description. My number's there on the screen. I'd love to help you navigate this market with a strategy that's tailored to your goals. I'll be sharing more market insights and neighborhood spotlights in the coming weeks. So make sure you're subscribed and keep an eye out. Hey, thanks for watching. As always, I'm RJ Hoggard with the Hoggard Group and KW Legacy, and I'll see you at the closing table or in my next video.